Here goes the video. What's up, y'all? Welcome to Straight Shooting with the Boys. Wasn't the week one we were anticipating, but let's get into the reactions.
Yes, sir.
What you got, Justin? What you thinking about week one in general?
So overall, week one. So the NFC West didn't look as good as I expected them to look. I mean, jury's still out right now. There's a game going on, but otherwise, I mean, it was kind of I wouldn't say an ass whooping. Ours wasn't really an ass whooping, but we got beat, and the rest of the NFC West got their asses handed to them. So that was a little bit of a surprise.
I was a little surprised by the Cardinal game.
Yeah, they got blown out. That was crazy. Honestly, though, like, and the Packers starting off slow. I mean, there was quite a few people that did not start this season off, us being included in that didn't like come to the plate, I guess you should say. So that was a little interesting, but I still feel like, and I hate to say it because I'm an NFC obviously, but AFC looks good, man. They look
scary.
good across. They look good across
Just
the board.
General, I thought the Dolphins looked good.
Yep.
Baltimore Ravens, I thought Lamar looked pissed.
Yep.
Patrick Mahomes looked like he got a points to prove. And
that was insane.
The Chargers looked real good too. Yeah, the NFC West didn't look good. The Niners, I wasn't excited about the game. However, I think the elements took a lot out of that.
Yeah. I mean, I said it. I said it in our last video. We were going to start out slow, and that was that was going to be the plan anyways. We started out slow on top of the fact that we're in that type of element, and it played against us in the type of game that we were trying to play. So,
okay. I'll have some technical difficulties, so I'm a little choppy in the video. So if I get choppy on the sound, just let me know.
No, I can hear you. You're good.
All right. Initial reaction to week one, I was ugly football. I'm not super excited about the loss, but not keeping my head down either. I think we'll be fine. I think the 49ers are going to come back next week and take care of business.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm definitely not in panic mode. I think a lot of people are like, they got excited. Luckily, the fans that like to run their mouths the most about the Niners all lost too, so they were quiet this week. But otherwise, it like I said, it didn't surprise me. I mean, I definitely felt confident going into that game, but it's gonna be a slow couple weeks, and it's gonna take some time for them to finally get the pieces rolling. But I'm confident. I'm not too shaken by that performance.
I think the only thing coming out of week one where I have a lot of questions is the last is going to be out for 2 months, and that's a little worrying.
Yeah, that for me in our game specifically. I mean, I know we'll touch on stuff later, but that O-line didn't look the way that I expected them to look. So at least in the passing game, they look good in the rushing game, but.
I'm going to get into some quick. What do you think about what that cornerback said about Trey Lance?
I think they're getting excited. They're getting a little too excited too fast. It wasn't Trey. There wasn't anything that they did. It was the fact that it was raining and it doesn't play to his strong suits. I mean, I don't see. I mean, granted, Fields ran around and did his thing in that rain, but it's a different type of speed. Trey Lance isn't really the like side to side kind of move around, like Russell. Those types of guys that do that kind of stuff would be fine operating in that, but Trey's not built for that. So that with the fact that it's his first starting football game, realistically his first starting football game, and that just a lot of different things. I think he got excited, and that's fine. I'll let him take the W and get excited about that game, but we'll see come the end of the season who's looking like what.
Yeah, I think the quarterback had a lot to say, but ultimately didn't have any impact on the game.
No.
Yeah, we were throwing the ball at the end of the game, but it was mostly because of the conditions.
Oh yeah, I mean,
conditions were terrible.
They had to graphically put on the numbers. That's how wet it was out there. I mean, you can't pass the ball in that type of game, but we allowed ourselves to get down far enough where we kind of had to. And at that point, how do you run routes? How do you drop back? How do you do that kind of stuff in that type of environment? So, I mean, no excuses. We lost. They got the better of us for sure.
Yeah, I think we did ourselves. The one play I remember, or I recall that as like a big issue was Ayuk broke out and he kind of touched the guy. And they called it a pass interference on the offensive side.
That's a pass interference, yeah.
It was a great play, really great goal, and I feel like the touch really had nothing to do with it.
No,
from there,
I
it was
agree.
like downhill after that.
The penalties took the wind out of our sail multiple times. I mean, I know some of them were ticky-tack calls, but some of them were actual penalties. I know Shanahan needs to get to practice this week and definitely focus on the discipline part of it, because it was times. I mean, we're driving, or we stop them, third down, and then it's 15-yard penalty, first down. You can't. That takes your wind out of yourselves, and the type of team that we are, physical, discipline. It was none of that for us. So there are some bright spots for sure, but we need to tighten up some things.
Yeah, I agree. It was bad all the way around. Even Trent Williams was struggling.
Yeah,
like he allowed a couple pressures. He had a false start. Like, I just don't. When they don't play in the preseason, this is really their first initial reaction to a game situation, and it's going to be ugly football for these first few weeks. And it sucks to say that, it sucks to hear, but man, it was rough.
I mean, I seen a graphic or a statistic somewhere where Shanahan's like 2-5 in his season opener. So I mean, I think it's historically Shanahan's thing, and not only that, for us, because we've had so many injuries, I think we're so afraid to run preseason and kind of like give those guys those reps because we want to keep them healthy for the season, that we do start off kind of slow. It takes a second for everyone to get into game speed, and then once that happens, then everybody starts to click and it starts to move. But
and I think part of that is we're such a physical team, you don't want to waste them so far. So you don't waste the bodies at the beginning of the season. And unfortunately, it's going to be ugly football for the first few weeks. But once we click it, I think it's just dangerous for the NFL.
Yeah, I'm still sticking by what I said. I still think we're one of the most, if not the most, complete team in the league. So that'll start to show later on. Until then, I'm gonna keep with the confidence. Hopefully, that Elijah Mitchell injury doesn't hurt us too badly, and some guys step up.
Yeah, I got a text message this morning, bright and early, dark and early, however you want to look at it, from Miguel Torres. He asked me how I feel about Trey Lance and if we should switch to Jimmy G. It was rough to watch, but I think ultimately Trey Lance did the best with what he had, and he was the best person for the job on Sunday. And I think he's the best person for the job going forward.
Yep. I think the only thing that changes.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I said the only thing that really changes with Jimmy in there is that we might run the ball a little bit more, but that wasn't. I mean, it wasn't that we couldn't run the ball. It was just the way the game went. It shifted really fast, and it was one of those games we couldn't. But there was, like you said, there was a lot of passes that Trey made that Jimmy never would even looked at. So I don't think
one particular. What was that tight end's name? Croft.
Crossed.
When he ran across the field, just right outside of his hands.
Yeah.
Jimmy wasn't even trying that throw.
No. And Trey acknowledged that pass. I mean, he said he missed a few big passes that he knew he should have made, but the fact that he threw those passes in the first place, it shows you what he brings to the table versus what Jimmy brings, because Jimmy wouldn't have even – he might have seen those routes, but he definitely wouldn't have attempted to throw it. There's no question.
I'm not saying he wouldn't try to attempt them. In those conditions, he definitely wouldn't try to throw them, though.
No, yeah.
And the fact that he was still able to get the velocity on the ball he had on it was ridiculous.
Yep.
Like he put one on Dwelly's chest, and Jelly had no choice but to catch it because it was dug into his chest.
That hit him right in the sternum. Can't do nothing there.
That was a beautiful throw.
Yeah.
Well, this is not on my agenda, but I did bring up Jimmy G. What do you think about trading him to the Cowboys? Do you think that's an option? Do you think Cowboys would want that?
It's an option for sure. The fact that I don't know that I don't know that they think that he's that much better than what's his name?
I'm not sure.
I can't even remember the backup right now. But we know he's better. Obviously, win percentage and everything else. He's definitely a better quarterback. But I don't know if they have the like. I wouldn't say the panic. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I don't know that he fits what they try to do there. They definitely still like somebody that's a little bit more mobile and the type of offense that they run.
And their receivers are more intermediate to deep runners.
Yeah, and he doesn't really fit. I don't think he fits their scheme or fits their offense. No, but I mean, he's an upgrade from their backup, but I don't know that they think he's that big of an upgrade as far as in terms of like what they try to do and what they're trying to get out there. So at that point, like I see the Cleveland Browns still making maybe a push more so than Dallas at this point.
And they look good. That team was good. All right, so did we talk about our offensive line yet?
I kind of touched on it for a second, but I didn't want to go. I knew we were going to discuss it, so.
Yeah. Oh man, that was rough.
It's hard. It's hard not to talk about them, to be honest.
Yeah. And it's the hard part is they're not a finished product yet. Trent Williams had a bad game for anybody's. Like for any offensive lineman, he had a bad game. For Trent Williams, though, he had one of the worst games of an offensive lineman because his level is so far up here.
Yeah. His expectation is at that top. Yeah. It's hard though.
Spencer Rattler played good.
Yeah, I think the interior O-line looked pretty good. Personally, I mean, I know there were some pressures that came through the middle, but I don't think it was purely on them. It was a lot of like defensive end stunts and guys that should have been communicated and passed off that weren't. That kind of caught us off guard there. But I think that our weakest points in that game were our tackles on both sides. I mean, they run blocked pretty well, but otherwise, like in the passing blocking, which was an issue for us last year too. So I'm hoping that they with injuries and people healthy and stuff, hopefully that gets sealed up a little bit. But I definitely seen a lot of opportunity on the passing game, or at least off the edges.
Yeah, and I anticipate Trent Williams fixing that quickly.
Oh yeah.
So if you think about it like that, offensive line one is going to have a worse time in the rain.
Yeah.
Because they're reacting, so their reactions are going to be slower.
Yep.
And then secondly, it's the first game. There's going to be some miscommunications, as we just talked about. It's going to get better over time. It's going to be ugly.
Yeah.
So this product is not over, but the right side was a little concerning because McGlinchey, we know, can give up some pressures, and I just hope that he can get better.
I hope so. Or Brunskill getting healthy soon. they could maybe make a change and get some better personnel in there. Me personally, and I've been that way for probably the last 2 or 3 years now. I'm not a fan of McGlinchey personally. He's the best tackle we've had to this point, so I mean we kind of have to run with him. But I don't think that he's saying that. That's not saying much considering our whole line is first year, second year starters. So
Right.
the fact that he's up there right now, it's only mainly because of his experience in the offense. And I think, he's done it for a bit, but I think if we could find someone that could plug in there, I mean, maybe McGlinchey at like a guard or maybe McGlinchey in like the big packages that we run the ball. But otherwise, like I'm kind of leaning away from McGlinchey at this point. Like I said, we have some injuries. We have some guys that are out there that will come back healthier hopefully soon, and maybe they can look at that. But, yeah, he's not set up, and he keeps trying to lose weight. He's trying to get fit, but he's just not set up to deal with those types of DNs that are out there that, could move and also put their shoulders down and rush him. It gives him troubles for sure. So, I mean, he struggled with the rookie.
Joe Staley stepped away from the booth. Maybe he's thinking about coming back.
I'm good with that. He's a little smaller than normal than he was before, but I'll take him.
He never was the biggest guy.
No, that's true. But he had probably a good 80 pounds more on him than he does right now. Dude, that is looking swole.
Yeah. But we both talked about this, and we don't think the offense lost the game. We both think it was on the other side of the ball. Looking at that game, what was your defensive liabilities?
So, I don't know why we struggled like this a while. So, I'm going to touch on one guy first because this guy, as talented as he is, as athletic as he is, I love him when he does good, but when he does it often is Greenlaw. I'm so torn on this guy because like I said, I love him. He's made some big plays for us. He's athletic. He can run with tight ends. He can run with wide receivers. Dude can hit. When he hits well. But it's one of those things where you have to start considering do you get the most athletic, most gifted guy on the field or the guy who's gonna not make the mistakes? And I think I'm kind of leaning away from the most athletic, gifted guy on the field. And if we have another linebacker, I know we signed I can't remember his name. We just signed someone on the offseason or just last week, a couple weeks ago, that I think if he develops in our defense, he might end up stepping in there and taking that Greenlaw spot if Greenlaw keeps messing up. Hopefully he gets it, tightened up and he can minimize those mistakes and then we'll be all right. But otherwise, he stands out in a otherwise great front seven.
Yeah, I saw it was one part or one play after he got a personal foul where Fred Warner was in his ear, and it looked like he was trying to plead his case and apologize or whatnot. But the last game, last year when he came back from his injury, he had a couple of personal foul penalties. And then this game, he had 2 personal foul penalties, both of them huge points of the game.
Yeah.
One of them, which I think was on a 3rd down, which would have been a 4th down.
Yeah, it's stuff that can't happen. You can't do that. Not you're a professional in the league now. He started off young. I chalked it up to he's young for the first year or two, but now it's you're at this point you're a seasoned linebacker. You started or played considerable amount in this defense. You know what's expected, and
big games.
You can't be doing that. I get it. You get excited. You're motivated. You want to go out there and make some plays, but make the tackle. Do your thing, be in the right place, and do what you're supposed to do, and it'll show. I mean, look at Hufunga was all over the field, and he wasn't doing anything crazy athletic. He wasn't. He was just in the right place where he was supposed to be at the right times, and he was making those plays that he was expected to make. So you just.
I think Hufunga made a couple plays he wasn't expected to make.
No, that's true. I think,
his instincts
but
were
I said
good.
it. Yeah, I said it at the beginning of the game. We were talking about it briefly before it started. Was he gets a lot of knock on the fact that he's not Polamalu, right? That's what everyone wants to compare him to because of his lineage and his
Hair.
UFC and all that stuff. But like, dude is a talented linebacker, safety type of guy, and he showed it. Like he's quieted a lot of people. I mean, he was the best player on that field, on that defense, that game. And his instincts and just the way he is, and he gets the ball. He doesn't need to be fast. He doesn't need to be extremely athletic. He's not out there to do that. He's out there to blow some plays up and get in people's faces. So I liked him on the field. He was my.
I would say he was the best player on both teams that Sunday.
Yeah.
He made the best
for sure.
plays. He was consistent. He made tackles for losses. I think he had 2 or 3 of them. He had an interception. Like, he was all over the field.
Yeah, for sure.
The other guy I would say was pretty solid too was Javarius Ward.
Yeah.
He was locking people up. He was in their grill. He did have 1 penalty, but I'll take a holding penalty anytime because he's aggressive. He's not letting his receivers get open.
I mean, I think they targeted the receivers who was covering like twice in that entire game, and it wasn't until the end where we were trying to like do some different things and trying to catch him off guard. I think that he ended up leaving some guys open, but it wasn't anything on him. It was he locked Darnell Mooney. He was on Darnell Mooney for a majority of that game. I think he had like 1 catch for like 7 yards. So I will take the 5-yard penalty, allowing only 1 catch for less than 10 yards.
Yeah, and in a rain game, like 19-10, it wasn't even a rain game. That was a monsoon game.
We were playing in a torrential downpour.
Right. It was wild. I never seen anything like that. And we played in that Washington.
Yeah, and it wasn't even that bad. Yeah.
It was worse than that game.
Yeah.
But, I think we'll be better. I think the defensive side will get better.
Oh yeah.
The people you expected to play good played good.
And like I said, we tighten up those penalties. I mean, that defense shut that offense down the first half. They did their job until they weren't. But again, it's one of those games. Like it starts to get away from you. We've always historically struggled with these shifty quarterbacks. I don't know what it is, but we need to get on this stop trying to blow people up and just make the tackles. There's some guys on our team that do that, and they do it often, but there's also some other guys that get a little aggressive and one of them being our best defensive player, Bosa. I've seen him do it a couple times. I think he just tries to make a play, and there's just times he gets a little overexcited, which is fine because, again, he's the best player on the team. He's going to make those. I'll allow those mistakes as long as they're not. Yeah, I'm going to allow those if he's blowing people up in the backfield every other play. So,
but he's going to make a solid play.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm going to say this. I think another defensive liability is their coaching. It seems like we hold these teams to negative yards in the first half, or we hold Russell Wilson a couple of years ago to like 40 yards in the first half, and they come back and win in the second half.
Yeah.
I don't think we make the defensive changes to counter what the offense is doing.
Yeah. He doesn't adjust.
He shut it down in the first half.
Let's stick with that game plan.
Yeah, and it doesn't work. So that's one thing I think that we could do better is make those little small quirks. You have to change it all up, but just make small changes so that it looks different to the offense. So when they make their changes, it's like a counter.
Yeah, exactly. It's as much of a mental game as it is a physical game. We have the talent out there, and like we could run with that, and our defense has done it in the past. We got by just being the more physical and better defensive team. But like you said, when a good coached team goes out there, that they make those adjustments, you have to be able to see those adjustments on that first drive and make the necessary shifts. Like you said, it doesn't have to be anything drastic, but even if it's shifting from a zone coverage to man because the type of plays they're running, or running some DN spies and stuff, like just to keep Fields. There was a lot of stuff I seen that like it would have just taken a little bit of a tweak to make Fields uncomfortable, and it could have shifted that whole game. And he got too comfortable in that second half that he finally started just doing his thing, and that's when the game started to get pulled away for sure.
Yeah, he looked really good in the second half. But so we talked about both sides of the ball. I didn't even mention, and I'm going to mention real quick, special teams. I thought the special teams looked a lot improved.
Yeah, way better than they did last year. There's not even a question. They looked. And considering the type of game it was, no, they definitely weren't. Like I said, they weren't the issue. That the reason why we lost that game. They've been in the past where field position was an issue for us, and that lost us the game. But in this case, that wasn't really the case.
Right. Do you have any overreactions? Something you think like the Rams are dead? Is it crazy?
I don't. I still know the NFC West is the NFC West, and like the game's going on right now, and it's a close game. And with Geno Smith and like nobody, the Seattle Seahawks are still giving Broncos a run for their money. And we talked about it. The NFC West is probably the strongest division in the league right now. So I've seen some. I would say the only one maybe overreaction for me in the entire NFL was the Green Bay thing. He did not look comfortable. That those wide receivers weren't doing. It just didn't look good. I mean, he looked like that first game last year too, and then turned around and they went and won, 13 or 14 games, whatever. Yeah. So I mean, I can't. That's why I'm saying it's overreaction at the first game, considering what they did last year. But it didn't look the same last year. It looked like almost like Rodgers wasn't playing. Where this year, it felt like he was playing and he still couldn't do anything. It just wasn't. He didn't have the same fluid offense that he looks like typically. That to me was a little scary. I mean, Tampa still looked like them. Everybody looked kind of where I expected them to look, other than that game. So
yeah, I think I'm gonna turn it into Pat McAfee's show tomorrow and watch Aaron Rodgers Tuesday. See what he says, because I'm interested.
See what he says.
The overreaction I have, I say Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cowboys are dead. They're over. I feel like their best two players were hurt.
Man. That Najee Harris thing hurt me though in fantasy. I'm like, no, come back. I was
sitting right next to you when you saw it. That was rough. But TJ Watt's done for the season, looks like. So it looks like Nick Bosa's Defensive Player of the Year award is his.
Yeah, it's pretty much a lock. Although what I will say, and he's not going to compete with Bosa for that award, but who looked good was Khalil Mack, dude. A lot of people were saying he was coming on that lower end of the his years, and I looked at him on that field. He did not look like he was on the lower end of anything. That dude looked good, and he's playing against an improved Raiders offensive line, and him and Bosa kind of did their thing. So
yeah, I'll tell you what, my dark horse MVP award winner made me look terrible. Like 5 picks. You should have told the Devontae with 7 people around him.
Yeah, I mean,
bro, what are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know. I think he got a little overwhelmed. Like I said, that to me though, that Chargers team is good. So that's not going to be for me even an overreaction. Knowing that the Chargers are what they are this year and what I knew that they were going to be this year, I don't think that's a bad game for them. I mean, it was a bad game, but I think that was also the Chargers just kind of coming out full steam ahead, and they had a conversation that they had to throw their hat in for that first game with the Bills, so they had to go out there and make a statement too.
Yeah, the Raiders defense looked pretty good too, so
true.
That would be all right. All right, so your final thoughts on the week 1? What you got?
Final thoughts. All right. Well, as far as the Niners go, relax. Niner fans, breathe. It's good. It's gonna be not, I wouldn't say a tough, because I still think we'll be all right for the rest of the year, but it's going to be slow. It's going to take some time. Don't try calling for the Jimmy thing right away. It's not as dire as it seems. We'll be all right. That game wasn't on Trey. That was just a little bit of everything, but don't overreact with that. And then just the rest of the league kind of looks at about what I'm looking at. Jamar Chase looked like a stud. Jefferson looked like a stud. Those guys are
crazy.
Yeah, the Vikings look good in general. That game was.
Did I think them were the Buccaneers to go to the NFC Championship?
Yeah, you did. So that's what I'm saying. I was gonna say that's the kind of that you made the right call there. I think both of my AFC call and your NFC call.
I think I still think the Niners are gonna win though.
No. No. It is what it is. Say what you want, but I'm not gonna. The Vikings look good, but Cousins doesn't have to deal with the type of defensive line that we would have. So it's a whole different game once we get to the playoffs. But I would say it's still a long season, still got a bit to go. But I think overall, other than a couple of like weird things with the NFC West and with the Packers and like those little things here and there, and then the Cowboys losing Dak, that could be huge for them because the Eagles are already breathing down their necks, I feel like, as far as like the best team in the NFC East. And now it's like they better hope that they can get to 500 by the time Dak comes back, because if not, they're looking not too great at that point. But
Saquon looks like he has some revenge on his mind.
Oh yeah, in my opinion, like if McCaffrey don't get comeback player of the year, then it might go to Saquon, because that dude looked like he was Saquon of old, and they were talking a lot about it during the offseason. I've seen a lot of like just different conversations about how he looked good in practice, and he definitely looked more motivated to do something, where in the past I think he kind of expected to be good just because who he was, and now it's like a chip on his shoulder type of running the ball. So that could be good for him.
Yeah, my final thought is just going to be this. It's September football. It's going to be ugly football. There's going to be a couple teams that are 5-0. They ain't going to do nothing. There's going to be a couple teams that are 0-2. They're going to be in the playoffs. It's going to be all right.
Yep, still a long season. We still got a lot of football left to play. So I'm still excited, and I'm still looking forward to what the season has to come. So
now next week we come on here, we're 0-2. Might be the last podcast, might be the last day I'm a 49er fan. No, I'm just joking.
Nah, I give the Niners a 5-game cushion. If they could go 3-2, even if they go 2-3 in the 5 games, I'm still confident in the team that we have for us to push through towards the end of the season. Like I said, we're not gonna be good. We're not gonna look great in the beginning, but we're that type of team that we have the mentality where we don't stop working. So I don't see.
Yeah, that's true. Last week I don't think we had any holes. This week, right tackle, I think we got to figure that out. Which I kind of figured we would have to figure that out, actually.
I kind of touched
out that penalty thing.
I kind of touched on that even last week. I was nervous about the right tackle since week 1, since preseason. I just, like I said, I've just never really been a huge fan of McGlinchey, but I'm hoping that they can turn something around and get him going, or like I said, find some packages for him and get somebody in there that can do the things that we need him to do, because McGlinchey's great for the run, but he's iffy on that passing game, and we're obviously leaning more towards the pass now. So,
yeah. All right, well, that's all I got. You got anything else?
That's it, man. I'm already waiting for Sunday to come. So,
me too. Yeah. Gotta get that taste out of my mouth right now.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll be back on Friday with the preview of the Sunday. We play on Sunday.
We got Seahawks.
And in Levi or in Seattle?
And Levi, I believe. I think that's our home opener. I'm pretty sure.
All right, well, we should have a better game. No rain. See how it
Yeah.
goes.
No, we'll see. We'll see how it looks. We'll see how this game finishes off too today.
All right. Well, it's us for Straight Shoot with the Boys.
Yes, sir.
Check it
Signing
out.
off.